The words of Leah Campbell, a resident of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, has been a healthcare professional since 2001 and a passionate advocate for the civil rights of all Mississippi citizens since establishing her residence in the state.
There are a lot of white Mississippians who use the argument of that the Confederate emblem represents heritage and not hate. And I think there are a couple reasons for this. Number one, they honestly don't know what the symbol truly represents. The educational system or curriculum in Mississippi does not include comprehensive education of the Civil War, the true causes of the Civil War, nor does it include comprehensive education about the Civil Rights Movement. And many Mississippians are taught a history of the Civil War and a history of the Confederacy that is frankly not true. Since the end of the Civil War, former Confederates have perpetuated this idea that the Confederacy fought for states' rights, and they have completely eliminated or erased the fact that the Confederacy fought to maintain and expand the institution of slavery. This particular flag containing the Confederate emblem was adopted in 1894, and it included the Confederate emblem as a way to say, this is who we are. This is the symbol of our state. It contains the Confederate emblem. The Confederacy fought to maintain and to expand the institution of slavery. The Confederate emblem itself also is a symbol of explicit white supremacy. And that's not my interpretation. Those are the words of the designer of that particular emblem, that it was to be a white man's flag and to symbolize white supremacy. And that is exactly what it has done throughout its history. In Mississippi, it rose to particular prominence in the 50s and 60s during the Civil Rights Movement, when Black Mississippians really started to assert themselves and claim their status as full citizens of Mississippi and as citizens of the United States with full and equal rights. So again, the whites in Mississippi used that symbol as a means of intimidation when they would commit acts of violence or terrorism against Black Mississippians. That symbol would be used. I think supporters of the Confederate emblem and the current state flag defend it so adamantly because if they were to give in on this issue, it would be admitting that they were wrong. It would mean what they've been taught and what has been passed down to them through the generations was wrong. And that's a very hard thing to do, especially in very prideful people. And Southerners are very prideful people. No one wants to admit that their parents or their grandparents or their great-grandparents were wrong. And also, no one wants to give away any power. And to admit that you're wrong requires giving up some of your power, the power of being right, the power of being first and in charge. I want to be really cautious. I don't want to be interpreted as me speaking for people of color or other minorities in Mississippi. I would never presume to do that. I know that my experience as a white woman in Mississippi is extremely different from persons of color in Mississippi. And so just telling you what people of color and other minorities have told me regarding their experience or what they feel when they see the Confederate flag or when they see our state flag. The overwhelming feedback that I get in my conversations with people of color, with gay people, with Jewish people in Mississippi is that the flag, the Confederate emblem, is painful because it represents a history of violence, intimidation, and discrimination against non-white citizens of Mississippi. And so how could it represent anything else but that? How could a symbol of white supremacy bring positive or good feelings to non-white citizens? A lot of Mississippians, and particularly Mississippians of the older generation who were alive or participated in the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, say they know exactly what that symbol represents, and that symbol was used repeatedly by white Mississippians as a tool to harass and intimidate them and to remind them on a continual basis that they are not equal to the white citizens of Mississippi, that they were second-class citizens, that their value as citizens and as human beings was less than that of the white citizens. And that's why the symbol has to go. We are all equal as human beings. The color of our skin, the religion that we practice, who we choose to love, where we choose to worship, how much money we make, our level of education, the way we look does not determine our value as human beings. We should all be represented equally and honorably by the symbol of our state. To admit that the symbol does indeed cause pain to minorities and people of color in Mississippi, that would require a conversation that leads to why does it cause pain? What happened to cause this pain? Who caused it and why? And all those questions lead to really uncomfortable places. I think that's a really difficult thing for people to do. The white elites in power that control the economics and the politics of the state defend it adamantly because they're defending the institution and the ideology of white supremacy. They are defending their grasp on power. They don't want to give any of that up. And to agree to change the flag or to remove a symbol that holds so much significance to them would require giving up some power or perhaps opening the door to sharing some power.
Leah Campbell serves on the board of directors of Mississippi ACLU and has collaborated with other social justice advocacy organizations, including the Human Rights Campaign, the Flags for All Mississippians Coalition, the We Are All Mississippi Coalition, the Come As You Are, the Mississippi Rainbow Center, the Mississippi's Immigrants Rights Alliance, and the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. She also is a member of the Jackson County branch of the Mississippi NAACP, HRC Mississippi, and the Steps Coalition.